The objective of this video is to understand what is a Python variable. To understand the Python variable, we are going to first study what is a variable. Then after that, we are going to see some of the practical example of Python variable on a Python interpreter. And after that, we are going to see naming restrictions, means what are the limitations for naming a variable of Python, or in simplified words, you can say means how to name a Python variable. And at the end, we are going to see some of the naming conventions, means some of the rules that must be followed to classify a variable of a Python, whether it's a public, it's a private, because in Python we don't use the keywords like int, private, etc. So we are going to see what are the naming conventions of a Python variable. So let's begin with the first objective, that is what is a variable.
What are variables? Variables are used to hold a particular value which can be reused again. मतलब आप कोई एक वेरिएबल डिक्लेयर करते हैं और अगर उसको कोई वैल्यू देते हैं तो वो वेरिएबल हम दोबारा से यूज़ कर सकते हैं अपने कोड में। जैसे कि आपने एक वैल्यू दे दी x इक्वल्स टू 1 एंड y इक्वल्स टू 2। अब मेमोरी में क्या हुआ कि x और y के लिए एक जगह रिजर्व हो गई और उसमें वैल्यू पड़ी है 1 एंड 2। अब जब भी आप इसको कोड में दोबारा से यूज़ करेंगे तो पाइथन क्या करेगा, मेमोरी में जाकर सर्च करेगा कि एक्स और वाई की वैल्यू क्या है और वो वहाँ से वैल्यू को उठाएगा और फिर लाके वहाँ पे रखेगा और तब वो इवेल्यूएट हो जाएगा जो भी ऑपरेशन आप करेंगे। नाउ लेट्स सी दीज एग्जांपल्स ऑन अ पाइथन इंटरप्रेटर।
Now we are inside the command prompt and we are going to open Python interpreter. To open Python interpreter, we have to write Python. Now the Python interpreter is open and you can see that we are using the version of Python 3.8.3. Now we are going to declare two variables and define the values of their two variables, like x equals to 1 and y equals to 2. Now what happened in the memory, the x and y values are being saved. The value of x will be 1 and y will be 2 in the memory. And when we are going to use these values again, or when we are going to use this variable again in our code, then the value of 1 and 2 will be written by the memory. So let's see, we have to do the addition of x and y. So x plus y, it will give 3. Now what happened in the backend is that Python goes and see in the memory whether there is a value for x, and memory say yeah, there is value for x is 1. Now the memory returns the value of x as 1 and put here, and Python puts the value of x here. After that plus, then Python goes back to the memory again and say, hey look whether y value is there or not. Memory say yes, it is there and it is 2. So memory give the value of 2 back to the Python and it puts the value of 2 here. And after that we have to do the addition of it. 1 plus 2 gives you 3. So that's how the variables of Python works. And that's how the value of variables is stored in the memory. So this is a practical example, or you can say a demo of how to use a Python variables and how you use your Python variables again in your code.
Now we are going to see naming restrictions of Python variables. First, variables must start with a letter or underscore. Second, versatile name can contain letter, underscore or numbers. Third is that variables names are case sensitive in Python. Means uppercase dogs are not equal to lowercase dogs. Or you can say the first letter of dogs is uppercase and it is not equal to the lowercase dogs. So these were the naming restrictions of Python variables. Now we are going to see naming convention of Python variable, which is useful in classification of a Python variable. Whether a variable is constant or whether a variable is a class name or whether a variable is a private variable. So we are going to see that. As you know that Python does not use keywords like int, float, const, private. So how can you say that what kind of variable is that? Means whether it's a private variable, whether it's a constant variable, whether it's a class variable or whether it's a class name. So how you define in Python? So the first thing is that Python use snake case variables. Why the snake case? Because it's Python and Python is a snake. That's why it uses the snake case variables. Second thing is that all the general variables must be in lowercase. Otherwise, if the variable is in uppercase, it is considered to be constant in Python. Obviously, you can change the variable, but as you know that Python does not use the keywords, so we have to tell the other programmer or the developer or the coder to tell that this is a constant variable, so we write the variable in a uppercase, like value of gravity, value of pi. Third is that we are going to use camel case for referring to a class name in Python to tell other coder or developer that this is a class name. So we are going to use the camel case for the class name in Python. The last is called dunder variable, or you can say double underscore variables. If you see variables declared like this, it is saying that the coder or programmer is saying to you that do not touch this variable. This is a private variable, so do not touch it. So these are the naming conventions of Python, which are very useful in classification of variables, whether it's a private, it's a constant, it's a class name, or it's a Python variable.
If you have any doubt regarding this topic, write down in the comment section. And if you think that this video was good, then do share the videos to others and subscribe the channel for new videos like this. And if you think that there are other topics on which the videos to be made, then write that topic in the comment section. Thank you for watching this video.